The Senate Finance and Appropriations Committee will come to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum?
Thank you. I feel like I'm getting redundant, but as I'm saying every meeting is we have a very full agenda. And I suspect next year we're going to need to talk seriously about some kind of bill limits. But we haven't had them yet this session. We're going to start with our subcommittee reports, and then we'll go to the individual bills that are not in subcommittee, and we'll start with the resources subcommittee. And I believe Connor or April will Tyler will walk us through that.
Yes. Madam Chair, thank you. The Resources Subcommittee, the first bill in the Resources Subcommittee was Senate Bill 343, Senator Barker's refundable income tax credit for low-income taxpayers. The subcommittee recommended incorporating Senate Bill 515, Senator McPike's, and the bill be reported 3 yes, 2 no.
Is there a motion? I believe we need to adopt the substitute.
Okay.
Substitute's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. I thought so. No. Let's pass this by temporarily.
Pass it after the year if you like.
Okay. Next.
Yes. The next bill is Senate Bill 27, Senator Ruff's. This is related to the income tax credits for the Neighborhood Assistance Program and Education Improvement Scholarship. The subcommittee recommends that Senate Bill 709 to STEF's, also related to the Education Improvement Scholarship tax credits, be incorporated into Senate Bill 27. 5 yes, 0 no.
We have a substitute, correct?
Madam Chair, this is incorporating Senate Bill 709 to STEF's first.
So move substitute.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
the Department of Education said that they sent y'all a couple of technical amendments. Have they been incorporated in the substitute?
Madam Chair, Senator Ruff, those technicals I do not believe have been incorporated yet.
You didn't receive them? Okay. I move the second substitute then.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that the second substitute, which contains technical suggestions, be adopted. All in favor, please say aye. Aye? No? And is that the first or the second? Staff is telling me that we have not received any technical amendments.
Chairman, I move we accept the substitute without that, and if they really want it, we can add it to the House.
Is that understood? Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Oh, please. Yes. I don't want to. Okay.
I vote Senate Bill 709, Senate Bill 27 be incorporated.
It's been moved and seconded that those two, 709 and 27, be incorporated. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is that a recorded?
Incorporating 709 and 27.
709 and
27.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, this is a recorded vote. Please record your vote.
Madam Chairman, the board is showing a different bill than we've been talking about.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. 7.
The other way around.
709 into 27.
And then what?
16.
Wake up.
Okay. Would that be
Ayes
now?
12, no 0.
Would that be now? Ayes 12, no 0. It is incorporated, and there is now another bill to be incorporated. Senator Barker.
I move that we incorporate Senate Bill 16 into Senate Bill 27 as well.
The motion is to incorporate Senate Bill 16 into Senate Bill 27. Please record your vote.
Bing.
Senator McClellan. Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. That bill is also incorporated. Is there a motion on?
Madam Chairman, I move that the substitute be approved.
It's been moved and seconded that the Senate Bill 16 be reported. Please record your vote.
It's already incorporated in 27.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 27. All right. It's moved and seconded that Senate Bill 27 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, noes 0. The bills are reported as incorporated. Okay.
Madam Chair, the next bill in the subcommittee report is Senate Bill 520, Senator Lucas's. This is related to the motion picture production tax credit. At the request of the patron, the subcommittee recommends to carry over the bill and send a letter to the Virginia Tourism Film Office and VEDP to study 4 yes, 0 no.
Okay, at the request of the patron, Senate Bill 526, it's
520.
520.
Yeah.
It has been moved that it be carried over and a request for information sent. Okay. All in favor?
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. Bills reported.
Okay. The next bill is Senate Bill 579, Senator Hangers. This bill is related to the income tax refunds for individuals or married individuals filing a joint return. The subcommittee recommends adopting a substitute and reporting 4 yes, 0 no.
Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There was an amendment adopted which would extend the eligibility through November 1st so that people who request an extension would also be eligible for this tax refund. And then the substitute incorporates language which basically allows us latitude to control the actual amount of the refund in the budget. So I would move that we adopt the substitute.
It's been moved. Is there a second? And seconded that the substitute be adopted. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Substitute's adopted.
With that, Madam Chair, I would move that the bill be reported.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded that the bill that 579 as amended be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill's reported.
Okay. The next bill is Senate Bill 560, Senator Norman's, related to the income tax standard deduction. The subcommittee recommends to carry over the bill and study in the joint subcommittee on tax policy. 4 yes, 0 no.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 560 be carried over for the year and studied in the joint subcommittee. All in favor of that motion, please record your vote.
Ayes 11, noes 3, abstentions 1.
I can't read it. Ayes 11,
Nays.
Noes 3, abstentions 1.
Bills reported.
Yes, the next bill is Senate Bill 7, Senator Peterson's. This is also related to the income tax Virginia standard deduction, and the subcommittee made no motion on the bill.
I got no vote. Somebody wants to make a motion for PBI. PBI.
Madam Chair?
Is this serious? Has it been moved and seconded to PBI?
No, Madam
No.
Chair,
Okay,
should we carry this over to be part of the study?
yes.
I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 7 be carried over and be part of the study. All in favor, record your vote aye.
Ayes 11, noes 3, abstentions 1.
Ayes 11, noes 3, abstention 1. The bill is carried over.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 11, Senator Suderline's, also related to the income tax standard deduction. The subcommittee recommends to carry over the bill and study in the joint subcommittee on tax policy. 3 yes, 0 no.
Is there a motion?
So move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 11 be carried over and studied during the interim. Please record your vote.
Ayes 11, noes 3, abstentions 1.
Ayes 11, noes 3, abstention 1. The bill's carried over.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 513, Senator McPike's, related to the property tax on data centers. The subcommittee recommends that the bill be reported 5 yes, 0 no.
The subcommittee requests that Senate Bill 513 be reported. Is there a motion?
Report the bill.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 513 be reported. All in favor, please record your vote aye. Opposed, no.
Ayes 14, no 0, abstentions 1.
Ayes 14, noes 0, abstention 1. The bill's reported.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 107, Senator Norman's. This is related to the marijuana tax revenue allocation. The subcommittee recommends that the bill be passed by indefinitely. 3 yes, 1 no.
The recommendation on Senate Bill 107 is to pass by indefinitely. It's been moved and seconded that the bill be passed by indefinitely. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, no.
Ayes 12, noes 4.
Ayes 12, noes 4. The bill is passed by indefinitely.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 185, Senator Ruff's. This is related to the major business facility job tax credits. The subcommittee recommends that the bill be reported 4 yes, 0 no.
I move that we report.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 185 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. The bill is reported.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 736, Senator Ruff's. This is related to sales tax data center exemptions. The subcommittee recommends to carry over the bill and have VDP and staff study during the interim. 3 yes, 0 no, 2 abstentions.
Madam Chairman,
Senator Ruff.
the impact statement shows an unknown negative. That is impossible. This is for potential tax reduction on the sales tax. If they don't come, it doesn't affect the budget. If they come, it's just less money that the state takes in, while at the same time, we would be getting construction jobs and $150 million in investment So I've said my piece.
And Senator Ruff, I don't disagree with you. Somehow the impact statements we receive don't reflect positive results. And that's something else I think that over the interim should be reviewed as to how we can get more accurate information. Okay, the motion is to carry it over and have it reviewed during the interim.
So moved.
It's been moved, is there a second? And seconded that Senate Bill 736 be carried over and reviewed during the interim. All in favor, please record your vote. Aye, opposed, no.
Ayes 11, noes 5.
Ayes 11, noes 5. The bill is carried over.
Okay, Madam Chair, the final bill is Senate Bill 103, Senator Spruill's, related to the Shipping and Logistics Headquarters Grant Program. The subcommittee recommends that the bill be reported 4 yes, 0 no.
The committee recommends reporting Senate Bill 103. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Thank you. Okay, next we have our Health and Human Resources Subcommittee report. Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have quite a number of bills, and I'll try to move through them. I've been informed that we'll vote on them individually rather than putting them in a block. So I will begin with Senate Bill 344, Senator Barker's bill, which deals with donated human breast milk. There was a subcommittee amendment, which was technical. Actually, it delays the implementation a little bit. I would move the adoption of the committee amendment.
Second.
It's been moved, technical amendment's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's adopted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, it does impose some general fund and also matching non-general funds, and I would move that the bill be reported. I would also note that we were fortunate to have a full complement of our committee this time. That's not normal for us, but we had 7 people participating most of the time. So I move
Yes.
that the bill be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 344 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Senate Bill 405, also Senator Barker, is health insurance coverage for prosthetic devices. It actually does not include any fiscal impact. As noted, there is, again, a technical amendment on this one. I would move the adoption of the technical amendment.
Second.
All in favor of the technical amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's adopted.
With that, the committee recommended reporting 7-0, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 405 be reported as amended. All in favor, record your vote. Aye. Opposed, no.
Senator, Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. The bill's reported.
Madam Chair, Senate Bill 436, Senator Barker's bill, deals with the statewide telehealth plan. It requires the Board of Health to consult with the Virginia Telehealth Network. No fiscal impact. There was, again, a technical amendment, and I so move.
Second.
All in favor of the technical amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's adopted. Oh, there is a.
There wasn't?
It was actually done in.
Oh, okay, my apologies, there was some
Okay.
confusion on that. The amendment actually was done in the Education Committee before it came to us, so
Okay.
I withdraw that motion for adoption of that amendment.
Okay.
It was already attached, and I move that we report the bill.
It's been moved and
Second.
seconded that Senate Bill 436 be reported. All in favor, record your vote. Aye. Opposed, no.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes, excuse me. Ayes 16, no 0. The bill's reported.
Okay, I will skip Senate Bill 682 for the moment, and moving on to Senate Bill 429, Senator Donovan. dealt with the development of a mental health and public safety mobile application. There was some concern about the fiscal impact and the timeliness of this, but the committee thought that it was a good idea, but we do recommend adding the clause to this, so I would move that we add the financial contingency clause to this bill.
It's been moved and seconded, the clause, the famous clause, be added to Senate Bill 429. All in favor, please say aye.
682.
That's
This is, yeah, it's 429.
429.
429.
429,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I believe that's our first use of the clause this year, Senator.
It is. The chair's been very resistant to that, so I appreciate that latitude. Madam Chair, I move that the bill be reported.
I was just gonna make one more point about the amendments.
Okay,
Go right ahead.
Madam Chair and Senator Hanger, Senator McClellan had suggested adding language to make sure that the apps interact with social media platforms, so I just wanted to note that those were included in the subcommittee recommendation.
thank you.
That is correct. Thank you for noting that. That was a part of the amendment with the clause. And I move that the bill be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 429 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Aye 16, no zero, the bill's reported.
Okay, Senate Bill 750, Senator Donovan, was a fairly ambitious bill to create a behavioral health hospital authority. The language was changed somewhat to not implement that plan, but for a plan to be considered and developed. The subcommittee dwelt on this quite a bit of time, and we are recommending that the bill be carried over, and we're going to add some budget language to give some direction to this concept. So my motion is that the bill be carried over with the understanding that we're going to insert some budget language to have some consideration of this concept.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 750 be carried over and that there be budget language to incorporate this concept. All in favor, record your vote aye. Opposed, nay.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Aye 16, no zero. The bill's carried over.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, but 1 second. You have a question on the last bill? Okay.
Yes, and not to change the vote, but on Senate Bill 750, notice we're carrying the bill over, but suggested a budget amendment to implement the concept. Is that
Madam
what-
Chair, I think the concept, the budget amendment, budget language was to study the concept.
Right.
You know,
Thank you.
yes.
Okay. You know where I'm going.
Well, it's a big bite, this budget amendment, this particular bill is a big bite.
Okay.
Yeah,
Senator Hanger.
thank you. And the patron actually already had a budget amendment in, but we're going to change that slightly, so we're talking about looking at the possibility. That's what that essentially is.
It's legislative budget. I can
Gotcha. All right. Madam Chair, Senate Bill 268, and that's why I skipped Senate Bill 682. We have Senate Bill 268, which the committee decided to use as the primary vehicle. Senate Bill 682, Senator Deeds, and Senate Bill 650, my bill, all dealing with emergency custody and temporary detention orders, where we've had this huge problem of taking custody of these individuals and the extreme cost to local police and sheriff's departments as they've had to wait with these individuals. All three of these bills address the subject in different directions, but they're all compatible. So the recommendation was from the subcommittee was that we would incorporate Senate Bill 682 into Senate Bill 268, and I so move.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 682 be incorporated into which one of them?
Senate Bill 268.
268. All in favor, please record your vote aye. Opposed, nay.
And then, Hank, are we doing amendments?
Okay. Now, Madam Chair.
I-16,
I-1600, the bills are incorporated.
My second motion is that we incorporate Senate Bill 650, which is my bill, into that same bill, Senate Bill 268.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 650 be incorporated into Senate Bill 268. Please record your vote. Ding.
I-16,
I-1600, the bills are incorporated.
Okay, and with the understanding,
Madam Chair,
Senator Barker.
question to staff. Senator Newman's 593, how did we handle that?
593, we were.
That's a different bill.
Or that's just a straight
Madam
report?
Chair and Senator Barker, Senator Newman's bill deals with an issue that could function independently of those
Okay.
three bills, and so the subcommittee didn't make any motion to add that to the package.
All right,
as it
fine,
were.
thank you.
Okay. The understanding then, incorporating then the three patrons would all be chief co-patrons on the combined bill, which is Senate Bill 268. And there are different elements of requirements. Senator Favola's bill would create a preference for alternative transportation. There is a clause, an enactment clause, which would basically ask Department of Behavioral Services to expand or enter into a new contract for alternative transportation, which with a company that could offer restraint for individuals as well, and a couple of other items that Senator Deed's bill included, which are all compatible with each other. Does that put it in appropriate shape? We got any other amendments?
Madam Chair, Senator Hanger, no, sir.
Okay. With that, Madam Chair, I'll move that we report the substitute that we've created for Senate Bill 268.
It's been moved and seconded that the substitute for 268 be reported. All in favor, record your vote aye, opposed nay.
I-16, no zero.
I-16, no zeros, the bill's reported.
Okay. Senate Bill 615, we spent a lot of time on out of courtesy and the insistence of the patron, Senator Lucas. Her initial bill was to create a secretary level position for disability services. And she made a strong case for that, but the will of the subcommittee was that we should not be creating an additional secretary, but we basically pledged to within the budget process, favor a significant increase in our funding for disability services. With that, Senator Lucas claimed a victory, I believe, and so I would move that we carry over Senate Bill 615.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 615 be carried over with all sorts of commitments attached.
Thank you for all of them.
I-16, no zero.
I-16, no zero, bills reported.
Okay. Senate Bill 577.
Carried over, sorry.
Senate Bill 577, Senator Mason's bill, deals with children's residential facilities and the criminal history background check. There's been some issue with the lack of timeliness and being able to get people qualified. So his bill, it was a little bit complicated, but it essentially will now allow the background check to be, as a condition of employment, they may be hired pending the results of the background check components with certain limitations and compliance with federal law. With that, did we actually make an amendment on that? I don't believe we did we? We came to an agreement with Department of Behavioral, or with actually Department of Social Services, and they were at first concerned about this. Now they think it's fine, since we are going to be in compliance with federal law and won't jeopardize any of our federal funding. So the subcommittee recommend the bill be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 577 be reported. Please record your vote.
I-16, no zero.
I-16, no zero, the bill's reported.
Okay, the next bill, Senate Bill 484, Children Comprehensive Health Care Coverage Program, would have directed a program to be established for non-citizen undocumented children. And the subcommittee wrestled with that a while, but decided that we were not ready to go into something like that. But we did recommend that we will consider budget language, at least having the subject explored so we know exactly what we're talking about. And with that, the subcommittee recommends carrying the bill over on a vote of 6-0. So I so move.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 484 be carried over. All in favor, please record your vote. Opposed, likewise.
Okay.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero, the bill's carried over.
Senate Bill 514 deals with incapacitated persons, changes to provision of adult guardianship and conservatorship. A bit complicated. It's in accordance with the JLARC recommendation. I understand the patron may want to speak to it briefly. Senator McPike.
Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Senator Hanger. We do have a substitute we did discuss. We have that prepared as well. Thank you, Connor, for many hours to work through, but we think that solves a lot of the different components that some of the stakeholders had come together on. But this is, as the chair indicated, the larger guardianship study from JLARC from last year incorporates a lot of the recommendations to increase both training and accountability and reporting across the system for our private guardianship, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Have we adopted the substitute?
Yeah, I need, Madam Chair, if I could ask Senator McPike, so you all come to agreement on the provisions of the substitute that we were, okay?
Yes, Madam Chair.
And we have that in front of us?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
The substitute is posting right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. We considered the provisions that were going to be included in the substitute, and it wasn't quite fully baked at that time, but now it is. Okay. Beg your pardon?
Yes.
Yes.
So, Madam Chair and Senator Hanger, the changes are many in there throughout the bill. They're mainly technical, I think, to address stakeholder concerns. I can talk about some of them, but they're pretty deep in the weeds. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. I think the committee was comfortable with the proposed substitute, what that was being discussed. So I move that the substitute be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded the substitute be adopted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Good. I did just want to comment before we vote on this bill that to me this is a good example of how a responsible press can make a big difference in people's lives. We first became aware of this with a series of RTD articles. Then it was picked up by JLARC that made the recommendations that Senator McPike has now got before us, and now we'll be dealing with it. And I think for some of the public who are less than enthusiastic about perhaps some of what goes on, I think this is an excellent example of what really goes right. So thank you, Senator McPike.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move the bill be reported with the substitute.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 514 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero. The bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 641, Senator Morrissey's bill, was one that the committee is going to recommend, it did recommend be reported. It had some issues initially until I had Senator Morrissey explain to me what an early psychosis intervention coordinated specialty care was. So we're good with that. It's minimal fiscal impact. Unless you were asking for additional amendments, were any additional amendments?
No, Senator Hanger, I'm not.
Okay, I move that the bill be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 641 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no zero.
I-16, no zero, the bill's reported.
Thank you.
Senate Bill 593, Senator Newman's bill, also deals, we had three other bills dealing with emergency custody and temporary detention orders as far as the custody process. And Senator Newman's bill could stand alone because it was a little different direction. It provides that localities that have auxiliary police officers that are out there and are willing can be called into service by the sheriff or the chief law enforcement officer, provide that transportation subject to an ECO or temporary detention order. It was a recommendation of the subcommittee, 6-0 vote, that it be reported. No amendments? There are amendments?
No.
No amendments. All right, I move that the bill be reported.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 593 be reported. Please record your vote.
I-16, no zero.
I-16, no zero, the bill's reported.
Senate Bill 46, Senator Peterson's bill, emergency and quarantine orders, additional procedure requirements. There was some concern initially about this as far as, I'm not a lawyer, but as far as who would develop standing because of this. Senator Peterson made his case, and we recommend reporting 7-0.
Mr. Chair, Madam Chair,
Yes.
there was an amendment, so you might want to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, there was an amendment. You want to report the amendment?
Madam Chair, the concern during the subcommittee meeting was that the language in the first section of the bill was a little too broad. So the amendment would be just to remove that first section, leave the second section, which refers to emergency orders, and it would be in the form of a substitute.
Okay. I would move that we adopt the amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the will-be substitute be agreed to. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's agreed to.
Okay. We had three lawyers on the committee, and they thought that was a good idea. So I'm good with that.
Means it's a bad idea.
The amendment was a good idea, not the bill. Anyway, as amended, Madam Chair, I move the bill be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 46 be reported. Please record your vote.
I-16, no zero.
I-16, no zero, the bill's reported.
Senate Bill 205, Senator Peterson's bill, didn't fare as well. As you know, Madam Chair, certificate of public need is a sticky wicket. And the committee, after consideration, was prejudiced, actually, to vote against this bill 5-2. So we are recommending that it be PBI'd on a vote of 5-2. It would have created an expedited process. The argument was made that we already are going down that road. There have been significant changes. Senator Barker spoke well to that as far as some of the changes we've made in the process over the last couple of years. My personal opinion is we need to fully staff that section out of the Department of Health so they can get on with it. So I move that the bill be PPI.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 205 be PPI'd. All in favor? Vote aye. Opposed, nay.
Ayes 12, noes 3, abstentions 1.
Ayes 12, noes 3, abstention 1 to PBI.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 40, Senator Spruill's bill, there is a substitute for that, and it was primarily technical, if I'm recalling right, technical, so I would move that we adopt the substitute.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded the substitute be agreed to. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's agreed to.
This particular bill, Madam Chair, was getting at discharges from assisted living facilities, making sure there were adequate precautions in place to safeguard the residents, including an appeal process if they felt they were discharged from the facility inappropriately. With that, I move the bill in the form of a substitute be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. Please record your vote.
I-16, no zero.
I-16, no zero, the bill's reported.
Madam Chair, Senate Bill 663, Senator Stanley's bill, dealing with telemedicine services, is basically amending the state plan for medical assistance service to provide provision for payment for some of these telehealth services as Medicaid, as the Medicaid program, a provision for payment originating from site fee for emergency medical service agencies. It was obviously telemedicine is an area that we're expanding into, particularly during the era of COVID, and the subcommittee recommended reporting, and I don't believe we amended it at all. It was recommended reporting at 6-0, so I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 663 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero. Bills reported.
Madam Chair, Senate Bill 356, Senator Stewart's bill. There are a couple of localities, specifically Stafford and Roanoke, that have been trying to expand eligibility for Children's Services Acts and allow more latitude for the specific public school divisions. In view of the fact that there's an ongoing study that is present that is due to make recommendations in November of this year, we thought it was premature to authorize this particular pilot project. So we recommend, and I so move that we carry over Senate Bill 356.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 356 be carried over. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero. The bill is carried over.
Madam Chair, Senate Bill 231, and I may need some direction on this. There's we were going to report this one last week, and the patron had wanted to review something. Are we okay now? Senator Suderline, this bill. Mike?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, so the substitute is really more technical. It basically clarifies in the other committee for the Commonwealth Care, Coordinated Care Plus waiver, only 2 of those 3 services are offered in the needy waivers. So it just changes the cap in that waiver to 10,000 versus 15,000 for the other.
Okay.
So that's more technical. The other discussion was just the idea of monitoring utilization of this. The thought there was we would just do that in budget language.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Madam Chair. The essence of this, and I move that we adopt the substitute.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded the substitute be adopted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's adopted.
The essence of this, there were 3 different services that are offered which have a cap of 5,000, and we wanted to give more flexibility. So we're within those 3 services. We're moving that to 15,000. And the area that Mike was talking about, there's a provider that offers only 2 of the services, so we're capping that at 10,000. So I would move that the substitute bill be reported.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 231 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero. The bill is reported.
Madam Chair, that completes our report.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we've been speeding along. I think we're going to slow down a little bit.
We good?
We're good? Okay. Okay. I will now go to our sign-up sheet, and first is Senator Surabel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill started off life as something very different than what it turned into. But the final bill basically just directs VDOT to meet with all the Northern Virginia localities to assess what our 20-year bike and pedestrian.
Which?
251.
251. Directs VDOT to sit down and meet with all the Northern Virginia localities, plus the NVTA, the PRTC, the NVTC, to assess what our long-term bike and pedestrian infrastructure needs are and funding needs are for projects that really aren't covered by either the NVTA regional funds or projects that are really eligible to be funded by Smart Scale. Right now, there's a lot of, especially with all the investment in bike and transit infrastructure and the new mixed-use developments that are coming, there's a lot more need for bike and pedestrian infrastructure, but it just doesn't compete under the NVTA or Smart Scale. And so the first step to figure out how to pay for it is to figure out how much is out there and what it's going to cost, and that's all this does.
Are there questions for the patron?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Evan.
So as introduced, the bill would have required NVTA to dedicate certain funds to pedestrian or bicycle projects, but right now, what's the net result of the way the posture of the bill
The
currently?
bill right now is only a study. I
Okay.
went through about 4 or 5 different versions with stakeholders and couldn't reach any consensus, so now the bill just says, figure out what the need is, and we'll talk about how to pay for it later.
Okay, at an appropriate time, I have a motion.
I think it's the appropriate.
I would move to report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 251 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 15, noes 1.
Ayes 15, noes 1. The bill's reported.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the sign up is Senator Suderline.
We're contacting him right now, Madam Chair.
Okay.
I could present the Senator Deesgood if you prefer.
I think we should
Okay.
wait for him. Senator Lewis.
Madam Chair, in an effort to do my part, I'm going to ask the committee to strike Senate Bill 503.
The request of the patron, Senate Bill 503 will be stricken.
Ayes 15, noes 1.
Ayes 15. I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Ayes 15, noes 1.
The bill's stricken. Thank you, Senator Lewis. You have another bill?
Yes, Madam Chair, I've got 2 more. And numerically, the next one would be Senate Bill 677.
Senate Bill 677.
And this deals with Virginia's workers' compensation system. Apparently, there is and has been an anomaly with that, Madam Chair, in that certain, particularly lower wage workers, if you get a workers' comp award that combined with your Social Security disability benefits is in excess of 80% of your pre-injury wage, you are not entitled to a cost of living adjustment. So the lower wage folks on the wage scale don't get a cost of living adjustment, but the result is the higher wage folks do. So this seeks to address that anomaly and give those folks the same cost of living adjustment, or the capability of same cost of living adjustment as everybody else. I looked at the fiscal impact statement. It looks to me, Madam Chair, like it's pretty de minimis, if any at all. So that's the bill.
Any questions for the patron? Is there a motion on the bill?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 677 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. The bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the final one I have, Madam Chair, is Senate Bill 756. This is a recommendation of the Chesapeake Bay Commission, and it comes after what they did. They performed a policy gaps analysis on where we are in the Commonwealth with regard to some of our resiliency legislation or policies in regard to other Bay Area states. There is a companion budget amendment, which the committee has heard. It is a significant budget amendment in the amount of $25 million for one-time infusion of funds into what is a revolving loan fund, so over time will become self-sustained. What this bill does is define resilience as the capability to anticipate, prepare for, respond to, and recover from significant multi-hazard threats. And what is envisioned by this revolving loan fund, it can be used for a multitude of things, but primarily what I refer to as gap funding, where there are gaps in resilience projects, planning for projects. This fund can step in and help localities with those gaps. It can be used for buyout assistance to low and moderate income homeowners to help them make more resilient their properties, and loans to local state governments for hazard mitigation. And again, any project that's in the Flood Master Plan or the Virginia Coastal Resilience Master Plan, the fund would be administered by the Virginia Resources Authority, DCR, and then the projects would actually be approved by the Soil and Water Conservation Board. Maryland and South Carolina both have very similar versions of this, and again, would appear to be helpful for gap funding on some of these resiliency projects. So that's the bill, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Lewis. Just to make clear, this bill sets up the fund, and then separately in the budget would be
That's correct. Whatever the committee chooses to do with the budget amendment. That's right,
Okay,
Madam Chair.
good. Is there a motion on Senate Bill 756?
Move to report.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 756 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero. The bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank
Thank the
you.
committee.
I see Senator Suderline is here.
Yes, Madam Chair. I believe you'd like Senate Bill 3 presented.
Yes.
All right, I'm sure Senator Eben would have done a fantastic job. But Senate Bill 3 is a concept that you all are familiar with. We favorably passed it through the Senate twice now. That what it will provide is for election night for the absentee precincts to no longer be reporting all the absentee ballots that were cast in their locality. Instead, the individual votes will be counted by their precinct. This is very important for several reasons, but it became much more apparent why it was important when we had the huge increase in absentee and early voting, and the folks that were selecting that were a more Democratic partisan persuasion than the elector on election day, and it created an election night mirage in the presidential election. It created interesting situations like in Alexandria, where it looked like Donald Trump, he carried a precinct, which I know Senator Eben knocks a lot of doors, and I don't think he's found all the huge Republican hotbed in Alexandria.
Senator, I think we've heard this
Well,
numerous
yes, I'm not
times.
exactly sure why I'm here this morning, but that's the bill.
You're here to see if you get the money.
There you go.
There you go.
I move the report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 3 be reported. Please record your vote.
Thank you.
Ayes 16, no zero.
I appreciate I won't have to present it on the floor. Thank you.
Good. Okay. I see Senator Lewis, but I don't think that's correct. Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think first up is Senate Bill 215.
Senate Bill 215.
And Madam Chair, what this would do is allow DMV to establish a portal to allow the transfer of title between two individuals or casual sales. That's essentially what the bill does, Madam Chair. And I do have a committee amendment to offer. And I'll happy to describe those amendments. Essentially, it strikes the fee language in the bill. It's not the intent of DMV to charge a fee associated with it, so it strips this out. And that helps to clean up the bill itself.
Is there a motion on the amendment?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the amendment be agreed to. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's agreed to.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so the brief summary is, DMV is working to innovate, provide more transactions online. This helps to establish and move that ball forward. Again, it's the individual person-to-person sales. You'd be able to do those transfers now online through this vehicle.
Okay, is there a motion on the bill?
Move to report.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 215 be reported. Please record your vote. Senator Mc...
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero. The bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next is Senate Bill 219.
Senate Bill 219.
This is the larger Virginia Employment Commission omnibus bill based on JLARC's report and work over the last year. providing different means to both improve information to claimants, of creating an oversight work group to look at the technical issues and also track the performance of implementing JLARC's recommendations, as well as another key provisions. And I believe we have a substitute as well for this one, Madam Chair, which takes in account and recommendations from the administration staff and other sort of technical adjustments.
Okay, is there a motion on the substitute?
Move to report.
No, we have a substitute.
Oh. Do we need to move the substitute?
Yeah.
Move the substitute be adopted.
It's been moved and seconded, the substitute be adopted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's adopted.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Newman.
Senator Pike, I think Senator Eben has really done a lot of work on his bill related to some of these items as well, but that topic is not now, by substitute or otherwise, combined into your bill. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, which one?
Senator Eben's bill has not been now combined into your bill. Is that correct?
No, they both encompass recommendations from the JLARC report, but they do not overlap.
Okay.
Mine dealt with just a few smaller ones.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Move to report.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
with that, I think we all dealt with probably hundreds and hundreds of emails and other issues. This is an important one that we're going to track, that sets up an accountability framework to make sure that we have resiliency in VEC planning in the future, understanding that dynamic performance, IT changes, and many other aspects that I think we all saw and faced over the last year and a half.
Thank you. Yes, Senator Marsden.
Thank you. Senator McPike, do you anticipate, one of the problems we had during the pandemic with the flood of issues around VEC is, who did we talk to? A lot of times it was just, sending endless emails, and occasionally you could get a hold of someone. Would this be somebody, the ombudsman, that legislators could be funneled to with their issues around compensation issues for our constituents?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's an agency rep. I know they have a dedicated person that they continue to plan as a legislative liaison within the agency to continue to work. The newer concept within the substitute is much more broader ombudsman, which would actually be both at the state level, but also the local offices as a larger umbrella, actually to help prevent. I think a lot of those calls come into our office because the ombudsman's office is there to help as sort of that navigator of the process to ensure that the initial questions and confusions are cleared up, and also use those into process improvement. So I think there's sort of multifold in terms of the customer experience when someone needs assistance.
Thank you.
Is there a motion on Senate Bill 219?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. It be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero. The bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I believe Senate Bill 515 is the earned income tax credit is rolled into, I'm not sure if that motion's already been made, so Senate Bill 343. And then Senate Bill 516, I'm not sure if that one has been yet rolled into Senator Marsden's 534.
No. I would so move.
And list as co-chief patron.
Okay. So it's now been moved that the bill be incorporated into Senate Bill 343? No.
534?
534.
Yes, be 534.
534.
So Senate Bill 516 into Senate Bill 534.
Okay. All in favor, please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero. It's incorporated.
Thank you, and I presume Senator Marsden will take that up at the appropriate time, so.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next in queue is Senator McDougal. I don't see him. Senator DeSteff.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, good morning.
Morning.
We're here on the grocery tax exemption bill, Senate Bill 609. And I believe when we met last time, we were going to roll it into Senate Bill 571, Senator Newman's bill, and then handle the two of those. And I'm not sure, I think something's been worked out, maybe, possibly.
Okay. Staff is suggestion we take this by temporarily so we can do all three bills together.
Oh, great, I'm happy to come back, so thank you. It's all good.
I'm sure you are. Okay. Senator Favola.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair. I'd like to discuss Senate Bill 625, the low-income solar bill. It's a very straightforward bill. What this does is it provides additional financial incentives to low-income households. They would be households at 80% of the state median income. So with these additional financial incentives, grants would be added. So these households would be able to make their homes more energy efficient. The program would be administered by the director of the Department of Energy rather than the advisory board. And that essentially is the bill. And I hope it would be the wish of the committee to pass it unanimously. But I'm here if you have any questions.
Are there questions?
Move to report.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 625 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero. The bills are reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Senator Boysko.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. So I guess, should we start with 441, SB 441?
Sure.
Okay. Madam Chairwoman and members of the committee, SB 441 addresses issues relating to charging inmates and their families exorbitant fees to send emails, speak on the phone, and buy food and other items at the commissary. Presently, people in prison pay 4 cents per minute per phone call, 40 cents per minute for video call, 25 cents per email. In the committee, we discussed the fiscal impact to the legislation. So we amended the bill by adding a delayed enactment to July the 1st, 2023, a reenactment clause, and establishing a work group to really study the implementation of the bill. This is the bill dealing with our Department of Corrections, not with the local jails. And I have spoken to Jerry Fitz about this. He liked the idea of the work group. We know that we can renegotiate these at a better price, and the people who are paying these are really not, they're people who really struggle from day to day anyway.
It's been changed. Okay. Yes, Senator Evan.
Yes. Briefly, the first bill I had when I was in the House was to make the phones just charge what the calls cost. And we know that one of the single best predictors of success of an inmate in terms of not recidivating is whether or not they have a family waiting to come back to and whether they have contact with their family. And my only question with Senator Boysko, is this the bill that also deals with the food?
Yes, it is.
Because, okay, and if I could just follow up and say that I have been to 3 or 4 of our penitentiaries, and I asked to eat the same food that the inmates eat. And I realized why some of them wouldn't go to the dining hall, and they were eating tuna fish from pouches. But that was only wealthy inmates who have wealthy families to put money in the commissary to charge, 4, 5, 6 times what it should cost for a pouch of tuna fish. I don't begrudge an administrative fee to our prisons for having a commissary, but I don't think it should be a profit center. And I hope that we'll support the bill.
Thank you.
Senator Barr.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a committee substitute that incorporates the work group and there, so that we have that before us here.
Hey, George, we can't hear you down here.
I make a motion to adopt a committee substitute which deals with the work group and coming back and making recommendations on how to adjust the situation. So,
Senator Saslaw?
At this point, what's the status of this as far as when it becomes effective or not? When?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Saslaw, the provisions would become effective July 2023. There would be a reenactment clause
No,
that
it's changed.
you've
Sorry.
changed it since then?
Well, that's what we're being told. Yes.
Madam Chair, Senator Saslaw, the committee substitute would actually take out the changes in the code.
Would take
so
out
there
the
would
what?
the changes that are in the introduced bill in the code, and would solely have establish a work group. It would flesh out the work group that they're to review the fees, make recommendations, and then there would be, in theory, a new bill next year with the
So
recommendations.
there'd have to be another bill.
There would have to be another bill.
Right, okay.
Yes, question.
Yes, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. As part of the work group, is that ratio that you put in there for 1 to 15 prisoners still part of that? No, thank you very much.
no, it's not.
Is there further discussion or questions? Did we adopt the substitute? We need to adopt the substitute.
I moved it, yeah.
Oh. All in favor of the substitute, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Substitute's adopted. So the motion is to report the substitute.
Second.
It's been seconded. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed,
Cells. It's one corridor of cells. And
Ayes 15, noes 1.
nay. Ayes 15, noes 1. Reported. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like me to do the other bill as well on the tax?
No.
You want to hold off on that?
Hold
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Senator Morrissey. That's another bill.
Good morning again, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Madam Chair, Senate Bill 581.
Senate Bill 581.
If I could first add move the amendment requested by Senator Favola at the line 167 after the word shall.
This is, I'm sorry, Senator.
Certainly,
Which
excuse me.
amendment is this?
This is the jail profiteering bill. The
Right.
bill has changed dramatically since I presented it. It's now a work study with a delayed enactment. And the part of the delayed enactment was a suggestion by Senator Favola to add 2 members from the rehab, Senate rehab, to this work study group, 2 members from House to the Senate rehab group.
Thank you. All in favor of that?
Madam Chair, what we need to do, I think, is, since this is basically the same approach as what was in Senator Boysko's bill just previously, to conform yours to that, so that we adopt the same amendment, not.
It's not substitute.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, it's not.
Is it?
Just to, right.
Madam Chair?
It's the same approach, but this deals with local jails.
Okay. Okay, all right.
Maybe I can help a little bit more. My bill, as it originally was presented, was to prevent jail profiteering, such as emails that cost between 25 cents and 49 cents, phone calls that run from a minimum of $1.05 for 15 minutes to $14.30 for 15 minutes in Culpeper. I presented evidence that when you want to make a payment of money into the jail, you use jail pay or J-Pay, and it costs $5.95 to put a $25 deposit on it. During the course of the presentation, it was considered by the committee that it would be better to have a work study discuss this, and that was the amendment to the bill. And and that's already been done. If you looked at enactment clauses 2 through 5 in lines 162. When I approached a few moments ago, there was an amendment to the fifth enactment clause, and which simply added 2 members from Senate Rehab and 2 members from House to this work study. At this point now, the bill is measurably different. The budget amendment is indeterminate, and the fiscal implications are de minimis.
Okay.
Because it doesn't take effect yet, it's just a work group to start.
Correct, group. Yes.
Madam Chair, do we need a
Chair,
motion for the amendments?
Well, I think Senator Norman
Is
wanted.
this not the same as Favola's bill now?
No.
No, sir. But I heard your discussion with Senator Favola, and hers was a work study, and mine is as well.
Do we need a motion for the amendment?
We could.
Right, 2 different, right.
There are,
It should be the same work group,
okay.
Madam Chair?
We have, the confusion is one bill deals with local jails and the other is the Department of Corrections. So, and the feeling is that combining them would actually confuse the situation more than clarify.
You're right, Madam Chair. The Senator Favola's bill was DOC. I mean, Senator Boysko was DOC, mine was the local jails.
Right. Okay. So yes, Senator Hanger.
Madam Chairman, I just wanted to be clear, in both instances, the one for the prisons and one for the jails, the committee substitute is just establishing a work group with no bill that will become effective at a later date. It's
Right.
just a work group.
Right, exactly.
So we adopt the substitute.
It's been moved and seconded that the substitute be adopted. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, is there a motion on the bill?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 581 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 15, noes 1.
Ayes 15, noes 1.
Thank you, Madam
It's
Chair. And we
reported.
did add the amendment to the substitute. Is that correct? The amendment dealing with.
Oh. No, it doesn't. We don't specify who is on the work group, just that there be a work group.
Understand. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All have a good morning.
Next, Senator Bell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. SB 370.
Senate Bill 370.
This is the risk limiting audits. As you can see from the fiscal implications, it says standalone, Department of Elections considers implementation of the bill routine, does not require additional funding. I think there could be some argument that it is an unfunded mandate to localities. To that, I would say that the localities are already doing, in many cases, more than the risk limiting audit. What this does is provide standardized procedures so that there'll be direction for people how to do this and to do it to make sure there's consistency across the Commonwealth. The risk limiting audit provides procedures to basically use statistics. So it would determine how much you would audit based on the margin of victory. The less the margin of victory, the more you need to audit for the statistical accuracy. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions, but there, as I said, there is no fiscal impact on that.
Okay. So is there a motion on the bill? Been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 370 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. The bill's reported. You have another bill?
Yes, ma'am. 461.
461.
This is the professional regulation by DPOR for boilers or pressure vessels. Those are many of the heating systems have a boiler, which frankly could cause explosions. We've had a couple pretty catastrophic events with these around the country where these things have blown up. What we have found is there's no training standard certification on the people who operate these, and in some cases they've made adjustments which have proven to be deadly. So what this does is establishes a certification program for boiler operators, and it requires DPOR to establish regulations for this. There will be fees related to this for the certification application, so there'll be income to help offset any cost for that. And then there also is a misdemeanor, Class 1 misdemeanor, if one represents himself as a certified boiler operator and they are not. And there would be a cost associated with that if someone were to have committed that misdemeanor. I will say that in previous years, I've done this bill 3 times. Last year we didn't proceed with it because of COVID. There was no fiscal impact from DPOR. They needed no FTEs or no cost. So I was a little surprised that they came back with a cost this year. But I would argue with the income they'll get and the fact that this is a critical safety thing. If a boiler is operated incorrectly, pressure set too high, literally it's a bomb. And I think we need people operating these to know what they're doing. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you or the committee have.
Are there any questions? Is there a motion? It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 461 be reported. Please record your vote.
I thank the committee.
Thank you.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero. The bill's reported. Next up is Senator Pillion.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Chair, this bill reported unanimously out of Commerce and Labor last week and concerns a project which you and the members of the MEI are very familiar with. This proposal outlines a supplemental appropriation needed for the Virginia Talent Accelerator Program to address the extraordinary size of the Blue Star project, which is truly one of the largest development announcements in Southwest Virginia history. The funding for this recruitment and training program was not included in the proposed budget or the new biennium budget, and I know VDP's been working with staff to make sure that it goes through the budget process and is included.
Thank you. Is there a technical amendment needed? No. All right. Okay. There isn't one after all. Okay, good. Sir, it's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 595 be reported. Please record your vote. Thank you, Senator.
Ayes 16, no zero.
This is a good news bill. Senator Stewart? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, I was in the hall. Madam Chair, Senate Bill 354, we heard last week, and I explained the bill. I think you all asked questions. Senator McClellan had amendments that she wanted to propose. She didn't have them, so you all carried it over for the day for Senator McClellan to propose her amendments. I think that's the status, but I can go through the whole thing again if you want.
No, we don't need that. Is everything okay now? Senator McClellan.
Madam Chair, I did have a substitute prepared that I can go through that would provide essentially an off-ramp for the new timeline in the event that no state or federal funds are available to help meet the new timeline with the construction based on if the costs to meet the new timeline would significantly increase rates to basically indigent and low-income ratepayers in the city. So that substitute has been prepared.
And Madam Chair, to respond to that, how do I say this? I think I see the direction in which this train is headed, and I probably can't stop it. I'm not in favor of the substitute, but I respect the senator's position I'd rather have the bill in the shape it's in. I believe that it does in fact give them the off-ramps that they need. I mean, I think we put that in before. We were very careful to craft language that gave them those off-ramps. But what this bill has done is it's gotten a great deal of attention, and not the least of which is from the EPA chief now, who believes that they can get them the federal money to get this done. If we take our foot off the gas pedal, that may go away. And that really is why I brought this bill, to speed it up a little bit, because if the state makes it a top priority and the city makes it a top priority, I think we can get the help to get it done. And 5-year timeline saves 10 billion gallons of raw sewage going into the James. And that's a big deal. It's a really big deal. So that's my plea, but I respect the will of the committee.
Well, Madam Chair,
Yes, Senator Peterson.
and I think, just look at the trajectory of where this is going. If we put this substitute on, it goes over to the other body. I have a feeling we're gonna be negotiating this out in conference. So
Right.
I'm gonna move the sub. I tend to agree more with you than with my colleague, but I'm gonna move the sub so we can move this along.
One thing we should consider is we could just vote no on this bill. We don't need to put ourselves in that position.
Well, I'm not gonna do that, so if you don't want the sub, then we can do an up-down vote.
I would hope.
I'm gonna move the substitute, if I can get a second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, the substitute be adopted. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's adopted.
And I move the bill be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that 354 be
Madam Chair,
reported.
before we go,
Senator Newman.
No matter what happens later today, Senator Stewart, I think that Secretary Designee Wheeler has found availability of some federal funds. Now, whatever happens, and I'm sure he's willing to do it no matter what happens today, but there is, I wish Lynchburg had known back then what we seem to know now, is that there is more pots of federal money, and I hope we explore all those spots no matter what happens today.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and second to report with the substitute. Please record your vote.
Ayes 9, no 7.
Ayes 9, noes 7. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I also have Senate Bill 358, and there should be a substitute. If someone would move that, I would greatly appreciate it.
Senate Bill 358, there's a substitute that's been moved. All in favor of adopting the substitute, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Substitute's adopted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What this bill does, it now becomes a Section 1 bill, and it directs the Secretary of Labor's office to act as a liaison between the federal division that works on the H-2B program and our seafood folks, and I will explain the issue to you. We have a tremendous seafood industry in Virginia. The biggest problem they have is they simply cannot get labor anymore, and that's not because of COVID or anything else. They haven't been able to get labor. And so they participate in a program called the H-2B program, and that it gets visiting workers who come, they do the job, and then they go back home, and it's been a very good program. The difficulty they have is getting the paperwork processed in Missouri, which is where the federal counterpart is. And I will tell you, very frankly, we have up to this point relied on Senator Warner to help us, and he continues to help us in getting that accomplished. Shucking oysters and picking crabs is a job nobody wants to do anymore. We don't even have union labor in the United States that wants to do it. And so this is our alternative, and this would be very helpful to them, and I would hope that you all would support the bill. I don't think anybody's opposed to it.
Are there any questions? Is there a motion on the bill? It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 358 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero. Bill's reported. Senator McDougal. Okay, do we? McDougal, B staff, and Boyce go together.
Was it Newman? And Woodfield, Newman, I think, is in there too.
And Newman? And Newman?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we combined all four.
You already have. Okay. Just to remind people that last meeting, we combined your bill with bills from Senator DeStaff, Senator Boysko, and Senator Newman.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. I have two matters. Is that the one you would like to take up?
Yes, please.
First on the, so I think Senator Boysko is here and
Yes.
Senator Newman looks
I
like
think
he's
people are here.
distracted over there.
Yes. Senator Newman, we're doing your bill.
Madam Chairman, I think the committee, we had a robust discussion last week about the grocery tax and the impact on individuals, particularly individuals with a more challenging economic situation, because it is fairly regressive. Everybody has to spend money on groceries, but a higher percentage of your income comes if you are lower income. Madam Chairman, I think we all took somewhat of a different approach in how we got there, and that resulted in different fiscal impact because of what the localities would have to pick up or not pick up through the different approaches. But regardless, I think everybody was in agreement that we need to do something in order to address this, and we are certainly behind many other states in addressing the grocery tax, which is one of the more regressive taxes that we have.
Any other patron? Yes, Senator Newman.
Madam Chair, first, thank you for the committee for working on this. I think that one of the key items that there has been a lot of discussion about is how we backfill the money, and I think that Senator Peterson and others have kind of worked through that, and I understand that Senate Finance Committee staff have worked their way through it as well. So I don't think that there is a reimbursement problem left. I think that we can handle that in either way. I think Senator McDougal stated it well. This not only is something that we should do, honestly, we should have done it years ago. And number two, we've been phasing it out. You'll see that there really is only 2.5 pennies left. The way that the bill was before, we had worked on the idea of reducing 1.5 pennies. I would rather do 2.5 pennies. The other is correct as it relates to the number of states that do this. There are only 13 of us left, and I'm hoping by the time we get done with this process that there will only be 12. I know there's been discussions on how to do it, and honestly, I would rather do it the way we're doing it because of the permanency of it. I think that it's wrong to kind of go back and forth, but I understand that there is general commitment to get this done from both the House and the Senate and from the administration, and that's good news when we have some agreement that we're going to deal with it. How we do it is another matter, and that may need more strategery, if you will, as opposed to the other. So I'm glad we were able to work out the education portion. Hopefully that helps going forward.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I think Senator Newman, Senator McDougal have put it very well. Those impacted by this are those who can least afford to be impacted by the tax. But B, if you look at what's happened in the last 18 to 24 months, the cost of groceries has gone up anywhere from 20 to 30%. Look at where the cost of milk was 2 years ago. Look at where it is today. Eggs, poultry, fish, beef, our basic staples have increased at such a level that folks are scaling back. And it's not those who can most afford it, it's those who can least afford it that are being impacted the most. And frankly, as we talk about here all the time, we're trying to help people out, and we don't want people to feel that their basic necessities of food, a roof over their head, and health care are unobtainable. So I hope we pass this. I hope we leave only 12 states that still have grocery taxes. I hope Virginia is the next one to completely eliminate it without holding our localities holding the bag on this one. And I believe that we're almost there, and I think over the next couple of weeks we can get there completely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the committee. I know that there's been a lot of work on this. I've been working on the menstrual tax issue specifically now, I think, 6 years, and it's exciting to see that we're finally getting to the finish line with it. Again, I look forward to working collaboratively with you all, and glad that we're considering these important issues. I think everybody has said everything else there is to say.
Senator Barker.
Madam Chair, I think we have 4 good patrons here who are sort of working in, to be able to address this issue. There's still some question of sort of how is the most effective way to get it done. But as Senator Newman referenced there, at the subcommittee, we first incorporated all of the bills into Senator Boysko's bill, but we did not move forward with it, a recommendation on everything. So we would need to do that again today to start the process of moving it forward there. So what we can do is then incorporate those in, and we can have explanation from staff as to the distribution of the funds for the penny that was set up for coming from the K-12 funding on that. So whenever you're ready, Madam Chair, we can make motions to incorporate and then go through the specifics of how the monies would be distributed there.
Madam Chair.
Senator Peterson.
And I may be premature here, but
I think you are.
I am. I'll be quiet. Okay.
Yeah, first we'll incorporate.
We
and then,
first
and then
need to incorporate
right
them and then.
Okay. So one by one, if we can go through the bills to incorporate it into Senator Boysko's bill.
Madam Chair? Yep. Do you need a motion for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would move, do they need to be one by one or can?
You gotta
Okay,
do
so I would
one
move.
They have to
that
be
we-
one by one.
I would move that we incorporate SB 609 into SB 451, Senator Boysko's bill.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that, and I'm sorry, I missed the number.
609.
609 be incorporated into
451.
451. All in favor? Vote aye, opposed nay.
And then I would move that we incorporate SB 380.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ayes 16, no zero.
I would then move that we incorporate 380, Senator McDougal's bill into Senator Boysko's 451 as well.
The motion is to
Second.
incorporate 380 into 451. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Record your vote.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero.
And then Senator Newman's SB 571 to also incorporate that into Senator Boysko's SB 451.
And the motion is to incorporate Senate Bill 571 into Senate Bill 451. It's been seconded. All in favor, please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Bless you.
All right, Madam Chair, I'd make a motion now specify that what we would have in the bill is the provisions that Senator Boysko had in the bill and as introduced, and on the grocery tax issue that we would have the tax for the penny 1% at the local level would remain. The other two components there, the one dealing with K through 12 education and the one dealing with transportation would be removed, so that there would be only a 1% sales tax imposed on groceries. And there's no funding proposed to replace the monies that would be in effect lost in transportation. Would use general fund dollars to supplant the 1% that's gone through K-12. And what we've come up with is to make sure that that is distributed the same way those funds are distributed now, which is based upon the number of school-age children.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Peterson.
Let me just offer a contrasting viewpoint, and I'm glad we're having this discussion. I am in favor at this stage of having what I'm going to call the skinny repeal. I think taking out that full penny for education from sales tax and dumping it into the general fund is a mistake at this point. I really do. I would rather keep that ADM money on the sales tax in the law right now. I think if we give that up at this point, we'll never see it again. And for those of us in Northern Virginia, I have extreme doubts that we'll get the same return. And you can put whatever language in the budget you want. So I would be opposed to that motion. I would like to keep this a skinny repeal for right now. So I would make a motion to keep the 1 penny for education out of this bill and not take it off right now. That's a motion if anybody wants to second.
Madam Chair, speaking of the motion, but.
Yes, Senator Newman.
Madam Chair, I would hope we would not do that. What I think staff has set out, and I don't know if it's been communicated correctly, as what I understand what George has got, is a absolute, just like today, we have the formula that goes back to localities. This would be exactly the same thing. So every single penny, every penny of the penny would be going back. And I think if you do that, you're going to end up with a bill that continues basically the grocery tax. I would hope that we would not do that. I think that Senator Peterson is passionate about it, but I believe that what staff has come up with, maybe it's not been totally vetted out there yet, is basically to make sure that every cent that goes to Fairfax go to Fairfax, the less amount that go to Lynchburg goes to Lynchburg, Bedford County and some others will get even less because we don't get very much coming through the sales tax, but it is a penny for penny reduction unless Senator Barker says that's been changed. That's exactly what we're going to do now.
Madam Chair, if I might,
Yes.
and I apologize, I don't want to monopolize this conversation, but I will tell you that when we put that in the code was in 2004, when we passed the bill in 2004, 17 years ago. And the reason it's actually 1.1 1/8% is because I would not vote for it unless a portion of that money went back ADM. I was in the House of Delegates. I was completely meaningless, but they needed my vote. And I will just tell you right now, it's important that that's in the code. And if we take it out of the code and put it in budget language, that to me is a loss. And I just think this is a long process, folks, okay? We're going to be here a while. I just think if we just give this away right now, we'll never see it again. That'd be a major mistake.
So it would be Peterson's amendment we vote on first.
Okay.
Madam Chair, just speaking to Senator Peterson's motion, I understand sort of where he's coming on things. I think that we can move forward in a way that we are responsive in terms of addressing 1.5% of the 2.5%, eliminating that tax, not harming localities. Since I think that would be a bad step to take right now if we don't, unless we have a ironclad replacement for that. And so I think that, that way we can maintain our commitment to the localities. And then in terms of the distribution, I think we can incorporate that either in the bill or in the budget, either of the two ways there. And and what we've proposed, what we've come up with is taking the approach that we would distribute those monies that would go for K through 12 education based upon the same formula that's used right now, which is based upon the school age population.
That's right.
Just to put a finer point on it, those who are concerned about the composite index, that is not part of this bill at all.
It's more favorable to you than it is to me.
Okay. So, on the, first up is CHAPS.
I had a motion. I think I got a second from Adam.
Yeah, that's what we're voting on now, is CHAPS, a motion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Nay.
No. Norman, no.
Okay, let's do, all in favor, please say aye. This is not recorded. Say aye. All opposed, say nay. Nay.
No. And Norman, no.
Repeat the ayes.
Two ayes. Okay. So the amendment's defeated. Okay. Next.
So, Madam Chair, may I ask where we are?
Yes, Senator Peterson's amendment has just been defeated. Senator Peterson's amendment has been defeated.
Oh, okay, I like him, but I'm glad. Thank you.
And so now we're going to vote on the substitute.
Yeah.
Yes, Senator Marsden.
Excuse me. Of course, sustainability of that, what you are going to be looking at here will be sustainable over the years and not any kind of a short-term fix, correct?
That's right.
That is correct. This is designed as a permanent fix there, so that there would continue to be the monies going to the localities for their K through 12 education, the school systems. So.
Okay, so in front of us is the substitute. All in favor?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Hanger.
Is this for reporting? Is that the point we're at, ready to report?
Reporting, pardon? We need.
No, we need to adopt the. Madam Chair? No. We need to adopt the substitute.
We need to, where we are is we have the substitute in front of us.
Right.
So all in.
Madam Chair, I have a question. Maybe somebody can answer.
Senator.
We need to adopt the substitute.
I know.
Okay.
Senator Edwards.
Yeah. The question is this, with the 1% off, what is that in terms of dollars to transportation or not to transportation?
April.
Impact to transportation would be a loss of $54,833,133.6 million.
I'm sorry.
And this would be, is any replacement of that dollar, those dollars?
Madam Chair, Senator Edwards, now.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Newman.
Madam Chair, as you probably heard, there's $2 billion additional dollars, and not only that, with the infrastructure, there is supposedly going to be $11 billion coming. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. The problem may be how we spend that much money in this amount of time, and the 6-year plan may become flooded. So.
Okay, so the substitute is before us. All in favor of the substitute say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And now, next will be the bill. It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 451 as amended be reported.
Madam Chair.
Senator Hanger.
Thank you. I'd like to make a comment, just because I'm hard-headed, I guess. As you know, I've pushed, rather than adopting some of these policy recommendations on tax reform this year, that we push things into a study. And for the most part, that's what we're going to do. And I appreciate the chair's acceptance of that and actually concurrence in that. On this tax policy is something that needs to be generated through thoughtful consideration. And I don't consider what we're doing now thoughtful consideration, even though we're flush with funds. We attempted earlier to take all of the sales tax off of food. I was part of a tax study early on that's been referenced, the 2004 vote, which was tough for many people. A couple concerns that I have, and I know this will move forward, but I just want to register where my thoughts are. I really would like to see us take the sales tax off of food, but we are. I also want to connect the dots in the study with where we are with the car tax, $950 million per year. And those of you from Northern Virginia, obviously were the beneficiaries of that poor policy when it was adopted. And so I think these individuals that we want to save a little money for this year, we probably would be better, they would be better served if we just increased the rebate we're going to give them, rather than adopting a poor policy now to take a few nickels off of the food that they're buying, and give a more thoughtful approach to this particular policy and how we're going to do it, how we're going to put it in the code, that we're going to continue to sustain our support for transportation and our support for local governments. But if we shortchange them, and we will at some point, because we always do, they'll have to put it on the real estate tax. And so that's why I'm voting no.
Madam Chairman.
Yeah, Senator Sassel.
He brought up, the gas tax. We initiated that in 1998. And had Brandon Bell not capped it in 2004 at $950 million, last year it would have been almost $2.3 billion out of the budget, which was 1.3 billion more than what we spent. On top of that, you talk about giving tax cuts to people who don't need it. 43% of the car tax relief goes to Planning District 8. One half of that goes to Fairfax County. I mean, and that's the reason that I opposed the standard deduction being increased, because you were giving, and essentially you're talking about to the people who are paying $570 of tax relief to people who don't need it. And if you wanted to, give it to the people who need it, probably Senator Barker's refundable tax credit would have been the way to go. But to give a blanket increase, blanketly the standard deduction, the majority of that, the overwhelming majority of that, would have gone to people who do not need a tax cut. Many of the people who are sitting up here today do not need that tax cut, yet we would have gotten it.
No, that's not even the issue, Dick. Can I speak to the issue?
Okay.
Can I actually speak to the
I
bill,
think
Madam
one of the considerations that we have here is that virtually everybody here has at some point or another run on getting rid of the tax on food, because I think most people think it's basically an unjust tax. And so what we've been struggling to do is slowly move toward that point. And this is one step in that direction.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Peterson.
And I apologize, but I've had one rule I've lived by while I've been down here, and the only vote that counts is the last one. This is not the last vote.
That's right.
And we need to be in a position to control this process. And if we give everything away on the first vote, then what are we controlling down the road, okay? The last vote is the vote that counts. This is not the last vote. I'm a no vote at this point, because I don't think we're keeping any leverage at this point. So I hope we will keep some leverage in the negotiations with the other body. I agree with Senator Howe. This tax is an unjust tax. I disagree with Senator Sasslaw, but that could take years and psychological counseling to address. The bottom line is, I'm going to have to vote no on this. I expect it will pass over my no vote, but let's keep some degree of leverage as we go into conference. Thanks.
Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I never ran on eliminating the grocery tax. I do agree that it's regressive and it needs to change, but I ran on fully funding our K-12 education system, which we haven't been doing so far. And so before I can vote, I need to fully understand the money from the state and from the localities, from the sales tax on groceries that is coming out based on this bill. Is it being fully replaced somewhere else? And is that in the code or in the budget?
Tyler, do you have answers to that?
Madam Chair, I Senator Barker mentioned earlier that we have a budget to fully put in the amount for every dollar being lost.
Follow-up question, Madam Chair.
Yes.
So for 2 years, we know that the money lost on education will be fully restored, but beyond that, who knows? Correct?
Madam Chair, Senator McCollum, the budget is Appropriation Act for 2 years.
And to Senator Peterson's point, we are now taking the average daily membership formula out of code and putting it in the budget. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, Senator McCollum, nothing is changing with the allocation of sales tax that exists in current code about how sales tax is distributed based on school-age population. That is also currently in the budget, would not be changed.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, is there anyone else? Senator Barker?
No.
No. So, what is the motion on the floor?
The motion on the floor is to report.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
All in favor, Senator Boyce.
Just before we finish, I just want to say that, you know, I've been working on getting the menstrual tax eliminated for years and years. It is an unfair tax on women. But I want to make sure as we are going through this process that we are making our localities whole, that we're taking care of our transportation needs and our education needs. You know, it's very important, I think, to me and to all the localities that we find a solution as we are redoing the way we have our tax structure, that we are not leaving people with holding a bag. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so the motion is to report with a substitute. Please record your vote.
Ayes 7, noes 9.
Ayes 7, noes 9. The bill fails to report.
Madam Chair,
Senator Evans.
might I suggest that we can reconsider Senator Peterson's amendment if we want to get a vehicle out of here to pass for negotiating purposes?
I'll second that. We move to reconsider and take a
We would have to
vote.
reconsider the vote that we just took.
450.
And it's been moved that we reconsider the vote by which we failed to report the bill. Please record your vote to reconsider.
Ayes 15, noes 1.
Ayes 15, noes 1.
Madam Chair.
Senator. Yes, Senator McClellan.
Madam Chair, I'm going to move that we take this bill by for the day. I think this is too important a decision for us to make on the fly, and I think that there need to be further discussions before we vote on any further amendments.
Madam Chair, I would second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We pass the bills by for the day. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's one no. It's by for the day. We'll keep working. Senator Piglian?
Madam Chairman, add one more
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
easy bill.
Yeah.
Madam Chairman, Senate Bill 398.
Senate Bill 398.
Madam Chairman, this is not the first time we've had the conversation about this. There's a facility in Hanover County and Doswell employs over 30 individuals. They generate power. Madam Chairman, I think the members of this committee that were also on the Agriculture Committee heard this presentation earlier. But what happened was when we were going through the rulemaking process with Reggie, the entity thought that they were going to be covered as far as their cost with the purchasing of credits. As the process wound through, even though DEQ, they thought with rulemaking they would be covered, they ultimately were not with the passage of the House bill, and they have been, in essence, eating those costs. Madam Chairman, I believe that they are the only company in Virginia that has not been able to pass through those costs, and it's approximately $20 million a year. So there's a number of points but that the committee has heard, but the one that I think I've heard the most conversation about was the allowances and if they could be sold by the entity. In my reading of the language, and as we discussed in the Agriculture Committee, they cannot. They can only buy enough allowances needed for compliance. So they either have to have the ones that they comply with or they can't purchase them. So this is the only company that this impacts. It should not impact the general fund because it's coming from the Reggie allotment, and it is important for those jobs at that entity.
I would add, though, that the Reggie funds are going into the general fund. So it would into the resilience.
No.
No.
Janet.
No, sorry.
She said no.
I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, Senator, the Reggie proceeds are appropriated at the Department of Housing and Community Development, Department of Conservation and Recreation, Department of Environmental Quality. It's non-general. But yes, this would have an approximate $15 million loss for Reggie proceeds.
Thank you. I stand corrected.
Madam Chair, I think you're correct in that they're appropriated, but they're not in the general fund.
In the general fund, right. Is there a?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Senator Edwards.
I have a question to the patron. Does this only affect or help one company?
Yes.
Just one company?
Madam Chairman, I'd answer Senator Edwards, yes, that every other company either was taken care of in a different way or had a contractual provision that enabled them to pass the cost on.
Madam Chair.
So yes, Madam Chairman, this was the one company that was left out.
Madam Chair, my understanding is they could have done it differently. They just made a wrong decision. Is that right?
Madam Chairman, I would answer Senator Edwards that there's a multitude of perspectives on how you could have done it. The bill in 2017 could have done things, or 2018 could have done things differently. The rulemaking process could have done differently, or certainly they could have had different contractual provisions. But these contracts were made prior to Virginia entering Reggie, so they were not things that were done after Virginia entered.
Further questions? Is there a motion?
Move to report.
Substitute motion.
It's been moved and seconded to report. We have a substitute motion.
Second.
It's in PBI. That's seconded. All in favor of PBI, please record your vote. Opposed? Likewise.
Ayes 11, noes 5.
Ayes 11, noes 5. The bill is PBI'd.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Senator McDougal. Senator DeSteph?
Yeah.
I don't think this is caught up.
Did you get merged with anybody?
I know, but the list I've got here is.
You live in North Carolina, don't you? South Carolina.
Is there anyone, any senator who is not on this committee who's here who wants to present a bill? I think that would be the. Okay, there is it. Okay, good.
You know, when Louise got elected to the Senate in '91, the district she had for that, 95 and 99, had it started in Old Town Alexandria and gone south, it would have ended 5 miles inside of North Carolina.
Okay, just a minute, I'm trying to get down here.
And had it gone north, it would have been 30 miles on the other side.
Senator Marsden, you have Senate Bill 28. Or is that? Okay. Oh, Senator Marsden, you have 3 bills. Let's start with 28.
28? And Connecticut.
Can I do it from here, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Senate Bill 28, I think we have a substitute that was, I guess that was, needs to be, I believe there's a sub, we do not? Okay.
No substitute.
Okay. The substitute offers changes to the definition of an, or this bill offers changes to the definition of an eligible industrial site. VEDP plans to develop a regional funding pool based on Go Virginia's Region 9. Therefore, the substitute references the Go Virginia regions versus planning district commissions. It also provides a floor for acreage to ensure the sites targeted for funding will be competitive for VEDP's targeted trading sector industries while recognizing the topography constraints of Southwest Virginia. Planning Districts 1, 2, and 3 make up Go Virginia Region 1. Portions of Region 2, especially the Allegheny Highlands, have similar issues related to topography and are also included. Finally, based on the budget appropriation from 2019 that allowed VEDP to characterize sites of 25 acres and up, the substitute includes this in the eligible site definition to characterize sites of 25 acres and above. While 25-acre sites would not be eligible for BBRSP funding, they would be eligible for Go Virginia funding, which requires the site to be characterized to be eligible for development funding. It clarifies that the industrial employment to mean Virginia's total employment, and this, it now includes definitions for the type of grants awarded for the fund, characterization or development grants. By defining the types of grants, this bill also clarifies the use of the funds to provide site characterization or site development. Essentially, what this bill does is create an ongoing mechanism for site development, for site readiness development. The governor put in $150 million for this site development, and this provides an additional $10 million with the budget amendment to make it on an ongoing, continuing basis, that there'll be money coming into this fund after they exhaust the $150 million. We're way behind some of our neighboring states, and with that, Madam Chair, that is the bill.
Move to be reported, Madam Chair.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 28 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0, the bill's reported. Your next one is 534.
534. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we've already incorporated Senator McPike's bill into 534. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
Madam Chair, 534 makes minor edits to the Virginia Consumer Data Protection Act that we passed last year. The bill redirects civil penalties obtained by the AG into the existing regulatory consumer advocacy, litigation, and enforcement revolving trust fund instead of establishing a new fund. This simplifies the process. The bill also slightly expands and clarifies the nonprofit exemption section to include political organizations, political databases, as well as a niche nonprofit that works with law enforcement on insurance fraud investigations. This is a real kind of consumer protection issue right there. Several other states are looking at replicating Virginia's data privacy law, and I'm very pleased with the bipartisan and thoughtful manner we have addressed the important issue this important issue in the Commonwealth. I know there are others who want more content in this bill, But our law, Colorado's law, and California's law will go into effect on January the 1st, 2023. I've spoken to the folks in Colorado, and they're very appreciative of the fact that we have this model out there. We should let the three laws, these go into effect without moving the goalposts on companions, goalposts on companies preparing to comply in good faith. For that reason, I have deliberately kept the scope of this bill narrow, targeted, and minor. The bill has no fiscal impact and is technical in nature with no known opposition, and I would thank the committee for their consideration, and I would move that the bill report.
Second.
There is a substitute? You have a substitute? Senator
Madam
Marston?
Chair and Senator Marsden, so the, in addition to the incorporation of Senator McPike's bill, including that language from Senator McPike's bill and the definition of nonprofit organization, Senator Marsden had requested a substitute that would remove the actual damages provision.
That is correct. Yeah, I thought that was in the, go ahead, yes.
That's it, Madam Chair and Senator Marsden.
So I would move the substitute.
Substitute.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Why are we removing actual damages? When there's a harm?
Well, Senator Deeds, that is one of the primary goals of this bill was to not get into private rights of action. And this starts us down that road. We need to get this bill into force on January the 1st, 2023 and see how it operates. And, getting into actual damages, they're so hard to determine what they are, in terms of data privacy losses. And this exceeds the scope of the bill. And, we really need to keep that out.
Madam Chair, I just want to
Senator
understand.
Deeds.
If someone is doing something wrong, there's no liability under this bill, is what you're saying. There's no liability for actual damages.
Madam Chair, Senator Deeds, this is up to the Attorney General to create fines, penalties, whatever, for organizations that do this, which goes back into the fund for them to continue to enforce. So there is accountability in this bill, and that is the purpose and why this bill is narrowly drawn to deal with that. This is a national model. We've received tremendously good feedback. There are a number of states continuing to adopt this, and we just don't need this language that was proposed. So we've taken it out.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Peterson.
This is a wonderful idea, and we need to get it on the floor so I can put on a floor amendment. So let's report it.
We look forward to that.
And seconded that Senate Bill 534 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 13, noes 2, abstentions 1.
Ayes 13, noes 2, abstention 1. The bill's reported. Senator Morriston, I believe you have one more.
I believe I have several more. I think 3 more.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
3.
Go ahead. 707.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 707. If I could explain, over the past 2 years, we've created a study and asked the folks at Wildlife and Department of, and VDOT to put together a wildlife corridors plan. And then last year, we added to that, that state agencies could include wildlife corridors in any planning that they do. All this bill does is set up a fund so that we can ultimately match any federal dollars. There's been $300 and some million of federal funds that have been identified that we could match. This fund would also be able to take private donations. This is costing us about wildlife crossings and the accidents that occur as a result of these wildlife crossings cost Virginians about $553 million per year, plus the potential loss of life. It is something that we need to get working on, and what this bill does is create the fund so that we can match federal dollars, take private donations, and get this process started. We do have a budget amendment here, but that's a different decision in terms of the committee, but we do need to create the fund.
Madam Chair, I'd
Yes,
ask
Senator
the
Deeds.
patron if there's included in this fund money to put deer stands by on the rights of way so that you can pick the deer off when they cross the corridor?
That is not anticipated.
That's not
I think
anticipated.
mostly what we're talking about here is fencing so that you folks in rural areas don't deplete our deer population and damage your vehicles.
What, Madam Chair, what about the
Senator
hunting
Deeds.
dogs? What about the hunting dogs? Yeah, what about the hunting dogs? Is that not covered in this bill?
They are companion animals, Senator Deeds. They're not considered wildlife.
Yeah, right.
Is there a motion?
I move to report.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 707 be reported. Please
Madam Chair, is this another bill with just the funds created and we have to fund the fund or?
We may or may not.
Okay, so it won't hurt to have the fund on the books if we don't fund it.
That would be correct, Senator Deeds. In case if the committee so chooses to go forward this year or any year, there will be a fund to create that will be able to match federal funding.
Okay.
That is over $300 million is being provided right now by the federal government.
Would you like me to open the vote, Madam Chair?
Please record your vote.
Frank, you're not going to vote for this bill?
Ayes 15, noes 1.
Ayes 15, noes 1, the bill's reported. Now, does,
683.
683.
683.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. We passed this by in our last meeting. What this bill does is it simply clarifies what broadband and communications equipment are subject to the existing exemption so that companies have certainty when making investment decisions. It's simply a matter of changes in technology outpacing the outdated language in this code. Now, the problem here is that we don't know exactly what the fiscal impact is going to be. A telecom company has run it through one of their economists and estimates it around 12 million, but we put in a placeholder for 14 to cover this. But what this will do, this bill, because the current language is vague and difficult to apply, effectively denying many businesses the opportunity to claim the exemption, I think this bill is a good idea. Tax treatment for all companies covered by this exemption should be the same. States with lower purchasing costs will get better investments, and passing this bill will speed up broadband deployment by allowing more folks to get involved in the game. There's a rumor that this has come out of another body rather strongly, and maybe they have answers to the fiscal costs that we don't. But I think it would be a prudent idea to pass the bill and then wait to see whether we can determine the fiscal impact.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, Senator Ruff.
If I could ask the patron or staff, if a cable company is now exempt from this tax, then how could it possibly have that kind of fiscal impact?
I think what we're talking about here, Senator Ruff, is a telecommunications company that brought the bill to me.
Madam Chairman, that's exactly the point. If it's one provider that gets the tax break and another that does not, how does that change the dynamics of tax?
Madam Chair, Senator Ruff, I believe the situation here is it's unclear whether the telecommunications company receives the exemption. Some of the others apparently do receive the exemption. What this will do is just update the code in terms of what kind of equipment that you purchase would be exempt. But it would have a fiscal impact to include a telecommunications company in the calculation, because right now they don't appear to have that exemption.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I would disagree that it could have an impact, because if a particular company offers a discount, it cannot from the simple fact that if you're trying to fulfill one commitment on broadband and one company has an advantage over the other, then it's going to be the company that gets the advantages and get the business, so it wouldn't have an impact. So what's the difference? And I'm not arguing with you, I'm just saying I don't think there's an impact there.
I had been told, Senator Ruff, that it doesn't have any administrative costs at tax, but it does have an undetermined fiscal impact because this company currently can't take advantage of that exemption, and other companies can. So all this does is level the playing field.
April.
Madam Chair, Senator Ruff, the company is currently paying the tax, so while it's not a general fund fiscal appropriation impact, it's a revenue impact versus a fiscal impact.
That's my understanding.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, question?
Yes, Senator Newman.
I know the clause has gone out of vogue, but it just seems to me that this one is one that we would like to know the impact, but would hate to lose out on the potential for the modernization because some of our areas desperately need it. So I don't know what the chair's view is on a clause, but if it was ever out there, this one might be one to consider.
That is one option. Another would be to carry it over for the year and send it to the joint subcommittee.
So moved.
It's been moved. And
Put the clause on.
the substitute motion is to put the clause on the bill.
To pass the bill and put the clause on.
First we have to put
the clause on.
Clause on. All in favor of putting the clause on, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. One abstention. Senator McClellan abstains. Okay, so now with the clause on the bill,
Madam Chair, I move the bill report.
it's been moved and seconded, the bill be reported. All in favor, record yourself aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 14, noes 1, abstentions 1.
Ayes 14, noes 1, abstention 1. Bill's reported. Did you have any more, Senator Marsden?
I believe I had one additional bill that I would like to roll into Senator Vogel's, I think it's 651. The only thing I would say, Madam Chair, is I introduced this bill at the request of Airbnb, which is currently not required to collect these taxes. My bill fixes that. Senator Vogel's bill also fixes it. She also does a few other things, so I would move that my bill be rolled into hers.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that Senator Marsden's bill be conformed to Senator Vogel's bill.
Is that Senate Bill 651, just to be clear?
651, that's right. All in favor, record your vote aye. Opposed, no.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16,
Madam Chair,
no 0.
Madam Chair, I would likewise move that my Senate Bill 634 be rolled into Senator Vogel's bill.
It's been moved and seconded.
Could I ask a question about that motion?
Let me just repeat it then, before I forget it. That Senator Deed's bill also be moved about conform to Senate Bill 651. Okay, now you have a question.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, is the audit function that was in Senator Deed's bill included in Senator Vogel's bill? In other words, I know that Senator Vogel's bill allows for the collecting of the taxes and remitting, and I'm just wondering if, say, City of Alexandria wanted to know that, or Fairfax County wanted to know that the Alexandria addresses in Fairfax were remitted to them rather than to the City of Alexandria. Is there a provision for any kind of audit function?
Yeah.
As was the Senator Deed's original bill.
Madam Chair, I believe that Senator Vogel is intending to offer a substitute for her bill, which would include the reporting language that was discussed briefly last week when these bills came up.
Thank you.
So that is meant to put local governments in a position where they can get the information that they need to administer the tax.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, if I can also
Yes.
just follow up on that. We debated this bill at some length at the last committee, and that was the sticking point, and that was, were the commissioners of the revenue going to be satisfied, and were they going to get the information that they needed? And we did amend it, and I understand that they are satisfied. They will get a monthly report of the address information and gross receipts. So I believe that there is 100% unanimity right now with one amendment that will be offered when mine comes up. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so the motion is to incorporate Senator Marsden's bill into,
Senator Deed's bill.
I'm sorry, Senator Deed's bill into Senator Vogel's bill.
Right.
Okay, all in favor, please vote aye, opposed, no.
I-16, no zero.
I-16, no zero, the bills are incorporated. Okay, now Senator Vogel, you're next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That rolls us right into Senate Bill 651, which is the bill we just discussed that has Senator Deed's and Senator Marsden's bill roll into mine. And what my bill does is it captures some of what each of theirs did, and with a substitute, which we discussed last week, and an amendment that I'm going to move in a minute, we will have, I believe, 100% unanimity from all the stakeholders. And the changes that were made from the original bill were to take annual reporting and make it monthly so that the commissioners of the revenue do have information every month, to provide to them the gross receipts so that they have a way to compare. We were sensitive to the fact that if there is a misallocation, there is in fact that you can be penalized, and obviously you have to pay interest if you have misallocated the resources among different counties. So we have worked through this. We believe that this is in perfect shape. And just to remind the body what it does is that it amends the collection and remittance policy to streamline it so that our accommodations intermediaries are being taxed the way they should be. And it puts them in the position of the taxpayer. And I think it solves a lot of problems of fairness and equity and making sure that they're paying their taxes and I think there's peace in the valley. I have one, I think the substitute was introduced last week. Am I correct? So the substitute is properly before us. What I would like to move is an amendment that I provided to the finance staff earlier. And this amendment is being brought to you at the request of the hospitality industry. And all it does is at the very end of this bill, we implement a work group. And that work group is to consider going forward how we could improve this collection and remittance and perhaps do it in a way that applies it more consistently across the Commonwealth. That is left just to the work group and is not in the substance of this bill. We had some folks who were concerned about the makeup of that work group, and I would like to move the amendment and then explain that.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please explain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And what that amended language does is it merely tweaks the composition of the work group. It adds a treasurer, one hotel representative, and then it limits the number of the travel intermediaries that can participate to only 2. And I think the hospitality industry wanted to make sure that it was fair and the representation was fair. So with that, I've moved the amendment, and then after that, I'll move the bill.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Senator Evans.
Is the substitute that Senator Vogel referred to online yet?
Madam Chair, that was last week's substitute, so that substitute is online. And then, is it not, is it Lisa? It should be. Yes, that substitute language is online, Senator Evans.
651.
Yes, 651. So what you have from last week is the substitute. And then if you go to, the only thing we're changing is if you go to the very end of that substitute, on lines, starting with line 345 and going to line 354. All we do is we change the makeup of that work group. And I know that there is a commissioner of the revenue who waited patiently last week and I believe dialed in this morning. I don't know if we want to let him make a comment, but I know they've certainly been very patient through this process and worked to make certain that we address Senator Deeds' concerns in his bill. And unless there's further question, I'll move we report the bill.
It's been moved. Would you like to speak to the bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Phil Kellum, Commissioner of the Revenue for Virginia Beach and President of the Commissioners Association. I'd like to thank Senator Vogel for her leadership on this and Senator Deeds and Senator Marsden for working together and helping bring unity to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, I'd really like to thank him for his support.
Good, good. Okay, the motion is before us to report with the substitute. All in favor, please vote aye. Oppose nay.
I-16, no zero.
I-16, no zero. The bill is reported.
And thank you, Madam Chair. The second bill I have is Senate Bill 744, and this establishes a Virginia Elections Commission. This was brought to me at the request of some of our registrars who make a very, very good point about the fact that so much of what we take up in the Privileges and Elections Committee is very complex election law related subject matters that are very difficult to navigate in a very short time frame, and in particular on the fly as we're sitting in committee. And this is consistent with something that I tried, and others I believe who've chaired the committee have tried. Over the interim, we've put together groups to talk about a number of different issues. But in this case, this would codify that, and it would create a commission that could serve as a group that meets throughout the year and then makes recommendations to the committee. It would bring the stakeholders together. Instead of us grinding it out during committee, we might have better outcomes during the session. And so with that, I would move adoption of Senate Bill 744.
Can I ask a question?
Senator Evan.
Yeah, I supported this bill in committee. The fiscal impact statement says that it's $18,900, but the bill says that they employ an executive director and staff. So I just wanted to point out that in the budget, we might need to budget for staff if we pass this.
Madam
Chair,
April.
I put up calls on this bill.
Madam Chair, I was just, and Senator Evan, I was just going to report, staff has indicated that if you pass the bill, you probably would need roughly about $400,000 to account for hiring executive director and staff, but that's been taken into account into the notes.
Madam Chair, can I?
Senator Deeds.
I'd move we amend the bill by adding the clause.
It's been moved. Is there a second that we add the clause?
Second.
And seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, clause is added.
Madam Chair, I'm curious to know if it's possible to amend the language to remove an executive director. I think it would be a very meaningful exercise to have a commission meet, and perhaps legislative services and their expertise could provide the expertise that right? Yeah, and the election, the commissioner of the agency. So I would ask if the committee would be willing to, rather than put the clause on, amend it, because I'm not in favor of actually spending $400,000
Madam Chair.
to make this function.
Senator McClellan.
I would actually make that necessary motion. I agree with Senator Vogel that legislative services would be sufficient to staff that commission.
So where are we?
I mean, we can still put the clause on it if you think it needs it, but I do think that we should eliminate the executive director.
We did put it on. Well, we've already put the clause on, so is there a motion to amend?
Having voted on the prevailing side by which we amended the bill, I move that we reconsider that vote. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the vote be reconsidered. All in favor, record your vote aye.
You can do voice vote for the amendment.
Reconsider.
We're reconsidering.
Gotcha.
Okay. The amendment is
516,
being
no zero.
reconsidered.
Okay, Madam Chair, I would like to make a substitute motion, and that motion would be instead of the clause, to move that we amend the language of Senate Bill 744 to remove the reference to an executive director.
It's been, that amendment has been moved
Yeah,
and seconded.
line 63 to 67.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's 3-2.
Okay, Madam Chair, with that, I would ask that we report the bill. Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be, as amended, be reported. All in favor, vote aye, opposed, nay.
Ayes 15, noes 1.
Ayes 15, noes 1, the bill's reported. Okay. We're not going to be able to finish the whole docket, I don't think. So let's see what we can do for the next 20 minutes. Okay, let's do Senator Peterson's 692.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, this is Senate Bill 692, and it deals with pass-through taxation, and it arises from an idiosyncrasy, or maybe not an idiosyncrasy, just a reality of our federal tax law, which is that the state and local tax credit, or what they call the SALT, is capped at $10,000 per individual filer. And so if you file either jointly or individually, and you want to take a tax deduction for the amounts you pay in state and local taxation, which for most people is going to be over $10,000, you're capped at $10,000. Well, obviously, we have a state income tax in Virginia, so that's a penalty to us, and so we pay more in federal income tax. There is, I don't know if I use the word loophole or an exception, but if you have a pass-through entity, say, for example, you own a business through a PC or an LLC, and you pay your state tax through that pass-through entity as opposed to paying it personally, you can take it as a business deduction. But you have to have the state law structured that way that allows you under state law to take that as a business deduction through your pass-through entity. This bill would allow us to do that. Now, this is pretty significant because for everyone who's a business owner, whether you're, medical doctor, CPA, lawyer, whatever, basically you would be able to take that state income tax liability, and to the extent you earn income through your pass-through entity, pay it through your pass-through entity and take it as a business tax deduction. Now, this is a brilliant idea. It's not mine. It's being handled on the House side. I was approached by some people on this side to bring it. The problem is trying to get it in place for 2021 before, for lack of a better word, they get a little bit smarter on the other side of the Potomac and close the window. So the way we have it set up, I believe there's some technical amendments that need to be made, and then two, it would be effective as of 2022, but I believe it would allow a window to go back and amend your 21 return. So if it's worthwhile, you can go back and recapture some of that money. And if you want to make a donation to my campaign, you can do that too. But anyways, that's the bill, and we do have technical amendments.
Madam Chair, I was just going to point out that the substitute that's posted on LIS would state that the deduction is available starting with tax year 2022. If you're looking at line 246 of the substitute, that would apply for tax years 2021 through 2026, and that's referring to credits for taxes paid to other states. So it depends on the situation of particular PTE as to whether they would be able to, which year they would be able to claim it for.
Okay, well, I want the 2021 version.
Okay.
April, can you help me?
Madam Chair, Senator Peterson, I think we'd asked Tax provided those amendments to help prepare a committee substitute, so I think I would ask Tax to come up and explain
Okay.
those.
And I'm happy to move the substitute so it's in front of us. Do I need to make that? I make that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, the substitute be adopted. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Kristen Collins from the Department of Taxation. So the substitute, I believe that Connor was mentioning that I had shared last week, it would only be effective for tax year 22 for the pass-through entity structure that Senator Peterson was describing. Connor's correct. There was another related issue where Maryland is a state in particular, but there are several other states that have this structure, and under current Virginia law, you cannot claim the out-of-state credit generally for anything that the entity pays. So you can't claim that on your individual return. This would fix that issue for people who have done this structure in other states. The bill could be further amended. One thing we had talked about is we could, from a practical standpoint, we can't amend, can't change anything in our system for the current filing season. There is a way you could structure it so that, if we had an additional year basically to implement it, people could the entities could make the election, when they are filing their taxable year 22 returns in 23, and go back and amend their 21 returns. I guess it could be a retroactive election. There are a couple issues we've been looking, into related to that, from a practical standpoint are not a problem, but we're not sure what the IRS's reaction would be. And I think there's some issues related to accrual-based entities, but those are not, our concerns. We would be fine implementing it that way if you want to move forward in that manner.
Thank you.
Y'all got that, right? I guess, and I've got more experts. I know we have very little time. I would simply say if we could just probably get this bill through, believe me, there's no downside. It's revenue neutral to the state. It will make an impact for those of us that are federal filers and would be able to reach back and get an amendment potentially, so.
Okay, is there a motion? In that case, is there a motion?
I'll move to report as the substitute.
It's been moved and seconded that the substitute be reported. All in favor, please record your vote aye. Opposed, nay.
Isn't exactly where he wants it to be, but I guess he understands.
I think he's saying he'll move it.
I-16, no zero.
I-16, no zero. Bills reported. We have a number of bills I hope we can do very quickly. The first is Senate Bill 186, Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill deals with a problem where we have an exemption for farm use vehicles, and you can install a placard. The problem was that you could go to Walmart and buy a farm use tag and put it on. And so the agriculture community, Farm Bureau, the Agribusiness Council supports this initiative, which will have DMV issuing a decal or placard, as it's called, for a one-time fee. And with that, it came from unanimously, I believe, from the Transportation Committee, and it would be paid for from this one-time fee that the industry itself is accepting. And so I would move the bill to be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 186 be reported. All in favor, record your vote aye. Opposed, no.
I-16, no zero.
I-16, no zero. The bill's reported. Next up, Senator Locke, Senate Bill 767.
Madam Chair, this bill goes with this constitutional amendment, so I would ask that it go by for the day.
Oh, but that's by for the day. Sorry, I've already done that. Okay, how about Senate Bill 522, Senator Lucas?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Senate Bill 522 directs the Virginia Department of Transportation to expand eligibility for a toll relief program for reimbursement of tolls paid on the downtown and midtown tunnel to residents of the cities of Portsmouth and Norfolk with an annual income of $45,000 or less through January 1st, 2025. And before Senator Saslaw pipes up, I'd just like to say that we are not a high-cost area, so don't make any comparisons to our tolls to yours. They're nowhere near equal. And Madam President, Madam Chair, eligible residents will receive equal levels of toll relief funding without prorations based on income levels. Funding for toll relief for residents with with an income in excess of $30,000 and equal to or less than $45,000 is to be paid by the Commonwealth from Federal American Rescue Plan Act funds. And any costs not covered by ARPA funds shall be the responsibility of the Commonwealth.
Senator Barker.
Madam Chair, the information we've received on the issues is that ARPA funds are unlikely to be able to be used for this provision, which would then take it back to directly to the Commonwealth to fully fund the program. And I think if we're going to do that, it would probably be we probably should carry this over for the year and send a letter to VDOT to evaluate options and funding sources. So we could try to figure out if there's some alternative to the reliance upon the general fund at the state level.
Is that a motion?
And with that, I'll make a motion to carry the bill over for the year and have a letter go to VDOT.
It's been moved and seconded to carry the bill over for the year and ask for options from VDOT.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I rather expected that to be the answer, but I had to introduce it anyway so that we could look at ways that we might be able to get it done.
Yes, absolutely. I think we will be able to move forward. And once you've figured that out, I think we can see what we can do up on the Dulles Toll Road.
Yes, ma'am, because we're not the well-to-do like Senator Sasso likes to refer to the folks up in his part of the state.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, record your vote aye. Opposed, nay.
I-16, no zero.
I-16, no zero. The bill's reported. Senator McClellan, you have Senate Bill 482.
Yes, ma'am. Senate Bill 482 codifies Governor Northam's Executive Order 82 that required certain agencies, when addressing permits, certain environmental related permits, to consult with the federally recognized tribal nations on any impact that the permitted project could have on historic, cultural, et cetera, resources. The bill has no opposition.
Okay, are there questions for Senator McClellan? Is there a motion on the bill?
No. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 482 be reported. Please record your vote.
I-16, no zero.
I-16, no zero. The bill's reported. Now you have Senate Bill 495.
Yes, ma'am. Senate Bill 495 reforms our recall provisions. Basically raises the threshold to begin a recall petition to 30% of the voters instead of 10. It limits the grounds for recall of an elected official to certain crimes against the office or the locality, or certain crimes that are currently recallable. And it moves the recall of an elected official to an election rather than a court proceeding.
Okay, is there a motion on the bill? It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 495 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 11, noes 5.
Ayes 11, noes 5. The bill's reported. I believe we have now Senate Bill 345. Senator Barker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 345. We have the substitute has been adopted in transportation. No, it's not been adopted. Okay, Move the substitute be adopted.
It's been moved and seconded, the substitute to 345 be adopted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, bills, the substitute's adopted.
All right, what this does is it provides an option for individuals to have on their driver's license or an identification card a indication of the blood type to be noted there. It's purely optional to the individual. There's no mandate or anything else that's there. It delays the enactment of this because the DMV is in the process of revising a lot of their forms and the data systems, and would bring down the cost a little bit to be able to do that with the delay. So I think so that delay does provide a benefit to us, and there's only a relatively modest cost associated with developing this, the computer systems and everything that would enable this.
Is there a motion?
Move to report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 345 be reported. Please record your vote.
Aye 16, no zero.
Ayes 16, no zero, the bill's reported. Now Senate Bill,
I'll correct that in the system. It had a substitute. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
My apologies. I'll correct it in the system.
okay. Senate Bill 524.
Senate Bill 524 deals with reporting of wages paid with the contracts with the state and to be able to maintain enforcement of the prevailing wage provisions that are in the code already. What this does is it requires that a contractor provide information at an initial point after getting a contract, and then provide regular reporting there so that there's easy monitoring of compliance with the prevailing wage provision. And with that, I would, if there's no questions, I'd be move that we report the bill.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 524 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 11, noes 5.
Ayes 11, noes 5, the bill's reported. I would ask, are there any other bills?
Madam Chair, there were a few where you had non-committee member patrons who aren't here, so
Right.
I would just suggest we could docket those for the Thursday meeting.
Okay, we will docket those for our next meeting, for Thursday evening. If you don't show up, you come back at night. Thank you. Committee will rise.